when we started, and you started, I think, even before me, because you're one of the first bloggers that I started following.
Yeah.
And there was like nobody showing people how to do anything.
Nothing.
You know? So I couldn't go on YouTube and figure out how to do lighting. I just kept trying stuff, and that looks kind of right. And you know, now I think we got it. You know, but it did take some time. Hi guys, I'm super excited because I am here with the Erica Bunker. Like, I'm so excited to finally meet you in person because we've been following each other for what seems to be a decade. Yeah, exactly. And so it's really weird to like meet people online and you follow each other for so long, and I feel like I know Michaela and Amber and Michael, like I know your family. And then to meet you in person, you know, it's always like really cool. And one of the really great reasons that I love doing the SEWSEW DEF magazine, because I get to kind of be behind and talk to all the people that I've kind of watched, you know, make amazing things. And when it comes to sewing, girl, yes, you are the business.
I will listen at the queen herself.
So I have a ton of questions for you, Miss Erica.
Okay.
So first I want to know how you started sewing. Like, what prompted the sewing? Does your mom sew? Does your family? Like, where did it come from?
Everybody sewed. You know, I grew up in the dark ages where they taught home economics in school. You know, the girls took home ec, the boys took wood shop, and you just learned how to sew, and it just kind of sprung from there. It was just like a natural thing to do, and but I stopped when I was in high school because in the 80s, you know, the years of consumption and everything, nobody sewed back then. You didn't want to walk around with homemade clothes on. You wanted Guess jeans.
Right.
And all of that type of stuff. And I didn't start back until I had kids, and my kids needed like school play costumes and everything. And I dabbled in that. I had like a little cheap sewing machine that I used to just do their costumes with and everything. And we did that, and I made like maternity clothes when I was pregnant, and but I never really sewed for myself like that until I stopped working back in 2005. And I was looking for hobbies to do, and for people that followed my blog from back in the day when I first started, I went through crocheting, I did knitting, and then I saw a lot of knitting bloggers who also sewed.
Right.
And so I was like, sewing, I might get into that again. So I went back and got another little cheap sewing machine, and I started making things. I think the first thing I made was like a knitting bag to put like yarn and everything in and take it with me. And I was like, well, that was pretty easy. And I just started reading blogs, and I was like, oh, well, she made that. Oh, well, I know how to read a sewing pattern, so I can do that. And it just kind of sprung from there, and it just kind of took on a life of its own.
Yeah, I can understand the whole life of its own thing. When I started blogging, you were one of the very first blogs that I came across that inspired me to start fashion sewing, because I had come across a lot of home bloggers, home sewers that were blogging, but it didn't look like stuff I wanted to wear.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then when I came across your page, and I was like, hold up, she's doing stuff that's different from everything else that I'm seeing. And so that's really where I started getting excited about wanting to blog. And up until then, I had never sewn with a sewing pattern, so that was new to me.
Yeah.
I started doing it just because I started blogging, and so I was like, well, I better start doing what they're doing if I want to make this happen. So it's always really interesting for me to find out how people got into sewing.
Yeah.
But there's a difference, Erica, between sewing and then what you've really taken on as far as sewing and then couture, because you love what they call slow sewing, right? And so explain a little bit about what that is.
Slow sewing is basically just going through all of the steps. It's the type of finishing details that you put into a garment. And basically what I do, I go into like a fine department store like a Saks, or like we have a wonderful boutique here, Gus Meyer, and that sells nothing but runway clothes. I just start a fitting room, and I go in, I try things on, I turn them inside out. I have my little tape measure in my purse. I mean, I do everything. I take pictures, and I'm like, no, none of that worked. Thank you. And, you know, and I go home and I just emulate it.
Yeah. I think that's great because I think that when people start to sew, at a certain point you want to elevate that. You know what I'm saying? Like you want to be able to learn all these really great techniques. And I'm always looking at clothes in the store and taking pictures of things.
Right.
Because that's sort of how you build on your experience.
Yeah, like you go in and you flip, say, a Lila Rose dress inside out. And you're like, well, okay, if this dress is $1,900, I need to see what she's doing.
Right.
Other than just putting her label in here.
Why is it $1,900?
Right. and you really find like cool details and everything that they put into these beautiful dresses. And I'm like, I can do that.
Yeah. Well, that leads me to my next question. Do you shop at all? Like, do you buy ready-to-wear clothes?
Underwear. And workout gear. I haven't gotten into making workout stuff yet, but I did buy your new pattern with the back out and everything, so I'm going to try it out because I thought that was cute. You know, that's something I probably wouldn't work out in it because I do a lot of cardio, and but that's real cute to throw on after I leave the gym and like run errands and everything because here in the South, athleisure is very popular here. We have like a lot of Lululemon loving ladies running around. And I think that would just fit right in because everybody here is either doing Pilates or bar. And so, and that's the look during the day of like the suburban mommies out running through Target.
Right.
So, I think that would look really cute.
Okay, thank you. I figured that. And I remember following you and thinking, does she really go? I think I might have even DM'd you, emailed you, or asked you, like, do you really go to the grocery store looking like this? Because you are fabulous all the time. All the time. And I thought, well, you know, I tell people all the time, if you run into me on the street, you're probably going to find me in jeans and a t-shirt. Because I'm really a jeans and t-shirt kind of girl.
Yeah.
The only time I really dress up is if I have to photograph or go somewhere.
Yeah.
But do you like love dressing up? Like, is that your thing?
I don't do it every day, but I try to make an effort to do it. Like if you catch me like running around in the mornings, I'm probably heading to the gym and I might like stop and run my errands. I'm probably in workout gear then. But I do try to get dressed at least a few times a week though. And like this is something I have on flat sandals, so I probably just run out and do some shopping or whatever. And now it's like I have to put clothes on now because, you know, once you start blogging, people start recognizing you. And you will be in, like, a crazy place where you wouldn't even think anyone would know who you are, like in the garden section of Home Depot. It's like,
are you
is that you? And it's like...
Yeah, I know. I get caught like that all the time.
And they're always looking to see if you're slipping.
I know. And then they want a picture. I'm like, damn. So I noticed on the blog when you kind of made a shift with the whole health and fitness thing. What brought that on?
Health. I had just gotten lazy and I wasn't doing anything. And when you're just sitting and sewing, and you know, I like to sit, sew, and sip. Right. And I love my red wine. And then it's like, you got the red wine. Now you need a snack. You know, it's cheese.
Right.
And so I had just gained 40 pounds before I knew it. And all of a sudden I was having problems with edema. My knees were hurting. And I went to the doctor and he said, you need to take that weight off. You know, you're too heavy on yourself. And so I just had my little pity party. I cried. And my husband was like, crying ain't gonna burn calories. He was like, so you what you want to do? And I was like, I guess I need a gym membership. And he was like, fine. Yeah. And we just went, back then, Planet Fitness was doing prepaid memberships where you could get an 18-month membership. And I bought one of those, and I knew if it was paid for like that, I would go. And I just started going. I mean, and it was that first month was like the worst thing ever. I felt like I had been hit by a truck. And all of a sudden, you start seeing the change.
Yeah. Oh, we saw it. I saw it because I was like, oh damn. Arms started defining. Yeah. I mean, I totally understand because I've gained at least a good 30 pounds since I started. The busier the business got, the more weight I gained because I'm sitting at my computer all the time or at the sewing machine. And then at a certain point, I was like, I really need to do something about that. So I'm in the process of doing something. I ain't really doing nothing right now, but I'm in the process of doing it because I get really excited about it. And then I start, I get on a plan and I start working out. And then something happens and then I get completely off. And then I got to motivate myself to get back
Yeah.
started, you know. But then I look at your pictures and I be like, I got to get my ass to the gym. 'Cause,
It is. It's hard to do it. It's
Yeah.
hard to motivate yourself. It's like, I am getting ready to go get on an elliptical machine for an hour. Why? And it's just hard to do that.
Yeah.
Especially like in the wintertime when it's cold or
yeah.
raining and
Yeah. Well, you've done great, so bravo to you because you look amazing.
Well, thank
really.
you.
And I think it's really inspirational for everybody. Because, I mean, we do really have to, you know, in order to dress the way we want to and make the clothes that we want to, you want to look your best. And you want to feel your best.
And it does. When you streamline yourself, I mean, like, those are, I look at it like it's less modifications to the patterns you have to make.
That's
So-
very true. Yeah, because that's another thing I found is I've made something and then I'm up a size and I'm like, then I don't want to make it because I know I'm not going to fit it because then I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm going to get on this plan and I'm going to lose the weight and it's sort of like this weird cycle, you know? So I need to get my act together now that I've talked to you about it. So I, of course, always love to see when you turn your garments wrong side out because you take such care of all of the details that you do. Like, I want to go into your closet. I think everybody wants to go into your closet. And we just all want to turn your clothes right side out just so we can see the inside and all the details. And I know that you're a self-taught seamstress, but what other things have you done to kind of teach yourself those techniques? Any books or?
I love books. And I love craftsy classes, things like that. Like, I think they even have one, I forgot the name of it, but it's one that talks about, things that you can do to the inside to make your clothes look less homemade.
Right.
And I love things like that, though, because I noticed that was a trend that I found with people, though. Like, I went to an event at a Belk store, and it was with one of the main buyers there, and I had on this camel coat that I made, and she was like, "You made that coat?" And I was like, "I did." She was like, "Take it out, let me see it." And you know, I would have been mortified if it had been jacked up on the inside. And so, I mean, she turned that coat inside out, and she looked at it over, and she was like, "Oh my God, this looks like something from whatever designer that would have made, and we would have bought for the store." And I was like, "Well, thank you." Yeah. But those are like my favorite things to make, coats and tailored jackets.
Well, that's funny because one of my favorite things to make are dresses. I love making dresses. I hate wearing them though, but I like to make them. So I just have a closet with a whole lot of dresses that I really never really wear. But so coats, jackets, is it because of the tailoring? Because
The
of the
tailoring. And that's like my, when it's like cold and dreary outside and I have something on Netflix I want to binge watch. I mean, that's when I just like dig in.
Right.
And it's like a perfect project.
Well, that was one of my questions. So you listen to music or you watch TV? Cause
I watch TV.
See, I like TV too. Even if I can't like see it because I'm sewing, I like to hear it versus sometimes just having music playing. So that's funny. Now, all of us, you know that we sew in our underwear a lot. So do you sew in your underwear?
Yes. Actually, my daughter and I were talking about that a couple of weeks ago, that she was like, "You are always naked sewing." And I'm like, I have to keep trying things on to tweak the fit. And I was like, "You don't get dressed for that." I'm like, if I'm making pants.
Exactly. That's so funny because we were in the office last week and April was working on something and I turned the corner and, Nora started sewing. And so it was like a moment for him because I said, "You've now crossed over," because I turned the corner and he was in his underwear. And I was like, "You're sewing in your underwear. I told you, everybody does it. It's what happens, because you don't keep trying stuff on."
Yeah.
That's hilarious. So I know you've been blogging for, how long have you been?
12? It'll be 12 years in July.
So you started it because you just liked it? Was it a hobby?
Just share what I was doing, to kind of keep track of my projects. And then I started finding a lot more bloggers. And then it just became like a networking thing.
Right. Okay. Now, you've done a whole lot in those 12 years. But where are you going now? Because I noticed you have a YouTube channel now, so I know everybody in the sewing community is excited that Erica Bunker has a sewing channel.
I fought YouTube for the longest and everything. I was like, read a damn pattern. I'm not doing anything like that. And but that just seems to be the way learning is going now.
Right.
A lot of people are visual learners, and that's just something I couldn't wrap my brain around because there was no YouTube when I learned to
Right.
sew. It was like home economics. They put that pattern down, they showed you how to read it, and that was that. And
Right.
you learn from there. And it was like, here's the sewing book, and with the illustrations, they didn't even have colored pictures in there. It was like just like rough illustrations.
Right.
And so, and since everybody now is visual learners, I mean, that's just the way. And you got to keep going with the times and and just get with the program.
Yeah, see, I'm one of those visual learners because I could read a book and sometimes I will find myself reading the same page over and over. I have a hard time retaining as I read.
Yeah.
But if you show me how to do something, it'll stay with me forever.
Right.
So I think that's why I initially started doing the blog with videos, because I just figured, well, that's how I need to learn, so maybe other people need to learn that way too. And now it just seems like that's what everybody does.
Yeah, and I did a little bit of teaching at Joann's, and I noticed that people really like to see kind of like what your hands are doing while you're sewing. And I was like, okay, I can do this.
So where do you want to go now? What's in store for Erica Bunker?
I don't know. I'm just kind of feeling it out because I always said, well, I don't have the time. I got the kids and everything now. And now I'm just so open. It's like I don't know which way I want to run. And I really like writing about sewing. I love the idea that you have a magazine. I mean, I've always saw myself like just writing about fashion. And I think the way I translate fashion is through sewing. And so I would really like to write more. Maybe, I don't know, maybe down the road a book.
Oh, that'd be great.
But yeah, or just right now articles about things, because I think a lot of people really want to know about advanced sewing techniques.
Yes.
But they want to see it on like a fresh design though.
Right. Right.
And
because I mean, if you could open any Threads magazine from years and years ago, and you're going to see the same tips and techniques that you see now in the magazines in the recent issues. But I think it's about what you said, how it's shown, on what it's shown, you know, on the garment versus what's been put out before.
Yeah, and who's wearing it. And I think that helps a lot too, because I mean, like if you see like a mature woman telling you how she can't really tell a 20-year-old how to fit pants, right? Because the way she wants to wear her pants is different than the way somebody who's more body conscious wants to wear their pants. And and that's why I wrote an article about fitting something as basic as a pencil skirt, because we all know how we want to wear our skirts, and I just kind of gave like a map, a starting point.
See, I think that's great. Well, I'm going to use your wanting to write more articles to my benefit because I think, well, there aren't a whole lot of people like you. I mean, there's a lot of sewers. There's a whole lot of them. There's a lot of bloggers. There's a lot of designers. But I think you really have a true love for finishing and couture techniques and making things look really great, not just on the outside, but also on the inside. And so we need to be able to see more of that. So if I can do anything to help that along, I'm always, more than happy to do that, because I think it needs to be more visible. They see us in magazines, but we're not always represented across the board as often as I think we should be.
Right. And
so I'm hoping that, we're going to do that. Because for me, this was completely new. I was like, yeah, let's do a magazine. And I was like, what the hell am I doing? So we're learning and trying to figure out what everybody wants.
It looks beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. We're trying
it's
to.
laid out in an amazing way.
Thank you. Now we just need to add, I saw your, I take all the comments and the feedback very seriously, because I want to provide what everybody wants, not just what I think everybody wants, and so I listen to everything, and so the techniques and being able to, show more tips and ways of doing things is really important, and so we're working on doing that, so I'm really excited about it. So I have one last question, because people always ask me, because I sew, they assume that my kids want to sew. So did Michaela and Amber ever show any interest in it, or?
Amber, never. Michaela, during middle school, she took home ec, and I went out. I was so excited she wanted to sew. I went out and bought her a sewing machine. We made pillows. We made pajama pants. We made an apron, and as long as I was helping her and holding her hand, she was fine.
Okay.
And when she had to do it on her own, it was like, nah, you just do it for me.
Yeah, that's kind of what happened too. I went out and bought the sewing machine, and Lexi was really the only one who showed any interest, and then she was like, yeah, no, not so much. I was like, all right.
Yeah, and now it's like, make me that.
Right, I saw this, Mom, can you make it? And I don't sew for nobody. I sew for me. I'll buy it for you in a minute, but I'm not going to make it.
Right.
Plus now I just don't have the time, so. Erica, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me.
Oh, well, thank
it's
you.
really such a pleasure to meet you after so many years. And I can't wait to see all the amazing things you're going to do. And like I said, if there's any way that I can help you in any way to do whatever it is that you're doing or want to do, I am always here.
Oh, awesome.
So stay tuned. Bye, guys.